So that park I was at is actually right next to the river, and the level is extremely low, so I won't be able to actually like swim, but I can at least cool off, cleanse the muscles, although not the upper body muscles so much. But we do what we can. Oh yeah. Oh, that's phenomenal. Yeah, I haven't felt water that cold since, I don't know, last time I was outside of New Caledonia in a place that has winter. Oh, this is wonderful. Yeah. I can think of a few better ways to wake up in the morning than getting up, putting on your gym clothes, walking outside in the sunlight, working out outside, and then sitting at a nice cool river. Not so bad. So folks, we're back with another Training Away series, and this time, as you can potentially see, I'm no longer in Fiji and I'm in the Pacific Northwest. After my time in Fiji, I went to go visit my family in Washington, and for this period of time, I'm not going to the gym at all because I'm not staying in a hotel, so I just brought my gymnastics rings with me. So this entire workout today and the next several will be entirely done on gymnastics rings. In my opinion, these are the single most useful and versatile piece of training kit to take with you on the road. I have gymnastics rings for probably like a decade now, and I used to train on them a lot when I was more of a calisthenics boy. Nowadays, because I have the home gym, I'm really just using my gymnastics rings for doing dips because I don't have a dip station at home. So they're fantastic for that, but I'm pretty much using barbells and dumbbells for all my other training. But when I go traveling, like this period of 2 months, it is an absolute no-brainer to just throw some rings in the suitcase, and then suddenly, anywhere in the world is my gym. So as usual, I started out this workout with a warm-up, so I warmed up my pulling with a light set of front lever pulls and some regular push-ups. When I'm doing warm-ups, I'm just trying to get the target muscles warm. I'm not trying to really get my heart rate up. I'm not trying to waste energy that I could be using on the working set itself. I'm just trying to get my muscles, my joints, and my mind ready to put forth a maximal effort. So the first pulling exercise I'm doing here is front lever rows. As you can see, I'm tucking my legs because I'm not strong enough to do full front lever rows. So I'm doing sort of an advanced tuck variation here. And to be honest, it was a little bit harder than I expected. I haven't touched these movements in several years since I was sort of training for the front lever. Got as far as the straddle front lever and sort of reprioritized on that one. But nothing feels better on the triceps and the lats as this movement when you're training with just your body weight. So I decided to give these a shot and felt fantastic. At the end here, as with most of the bodyweight movements, it's very easy to use a mechanical advantage drop set. So once I stop being able to do full range of motion with my advanced tuck formation, I start tucking my legs more into like a full tuck, which makes it a little bit easier. And then when I can't do that anymore, I can just sort of jump up to the top position and do like forced negative reps or isometric holds until the finish. This works really well with front lever pulls. It also works really well, as you'll see, with push-ups. So my second exercise is ring push-ups here. And if you haven't done ring push-ups, you might be surprised at how hard they are compared to just doing push-ups on the floor. During my warm-up, I did significantly more push-ups on the floor and had many reps in reserve compared to these. If you're doing push-ups on the rings, you can take advantage of a much larger range of motion, feeling a really deep stretch at the bottom position, and then you can also push your arms together to feel a nice pec squeeze at the top. That combined with this sort of stabilization that you need to do in order to stabilize the rings under your body weight makes them quite a bit harder than regular push-ups, which is great because regular push-ups are not super hard for me. And I want to work somewhere in the like 10 to 15 rep range and not the like 30 rep range, which is more just endurance. So again, in these, after I finish my regular set and start failing on these, I then do a couple of negative reps with my full body weight, and then I start moving to doing push-ups on my knees, which once you're actually really tired, ends up being very, very challenging as well. This is how you can use mechanical drop sets in order to add more work after you've reached concentric failure in your primary exercise. Next up was archer pull-ups, but as you can see, I'm not really doing full archer pull-ups here. I thought I might be able to do them, but one of the problems was that I set up the rings in a spot where the straps couldn't slide at all. So as you can see, they're like fixed on the inside of the swing and like the swing pole. So I didn't get the distance between my arms correct in order to leave one of the arms straight, which is just an unfortunate problem about this swing set. So normally when you do archer pull-ups, the rings start close together and they end up far apart, but I wasn't able to do that. So I'm doing them with very bent arms, and it's kind of awkward, and I don't get nearly as many reps as I thought I would get. So once I failed on these, I switched to just regular pull-ups and did partials and then a couple isometric holds as per usual. Next up after a good rest was Bulgarian dips. This is my first set of ever doing Bulgarian dips in my entire life, as far as I know. Before this time, I was doing a lot of weighted ring dips at the home gym, but in those I keep the hands and arms very, very close to the hips, which is just a more favorable position, and I can add more weight to it. Bulgarian dips are quite challenging technically. The balance is a bit more awkward, and you get a huge stretch in the pecs, which feels amazing, but was definitely challenging. I think in this one I got like 7 or so reps, which was absolutely amazing. I noted on this later in my training log that my right shoulder felt a little bit twingy after doing this. Not sure exactly what it was about it, but to be fair, it was a new movement that I took to absolute failure and beyond on the very first time, and so it didn't agree with my shoulders so much. So I noted that down in my training log, and I determined that the next time I would just try to do my reps slightly slower and see if the problem persists. See if I had similar pain or worse pain. If I had worse pain, then I would back off or switch variations the next time. But if I just had similar pain and made progress, I would see that as that I'm making progress, my body is adapting to the movement, and I shouldn't necessarily shy off of it, but just be cautious. This is often how I treat those little niggles and pains that you get from training. Training's not always going to be pain-free. Sometimes things are just not going to feel quite right. And I think the best thing we can do is not immediately be afraid and stop training whatsoever and totally avoiding these movements, because there are no injurious movements. They're just movements that you're not well prepared for. So if you overdo it a little bit the first time, try again after a good rest, which for me in these cases was always about a week. I would try again and see if it progressed over time. So stay tuned for the future episodes to see how that goes for me.
So just trying those Bulgarian style dips for the first time. I feel like it's a little awkward on the shoulders and definitely harder to keep balance on the rings. But you can tell it works your chest more specifically than the triceps. Yeah, those are interesting. But not too easy though. Regular dips I probably could have done, I don't know, between 15 and 20 before failing. And I think that was 7. So yeah, actually pretty good. Those would be really nice to do on the road when I don't have any weight to add. Fantastic.
Next pulling exercise was ring rows, and these are typically quite easy, but after going to failure on pull-ups and going to failure on front lever rows, this difficulty was just about right. I was able to do a decent chunk of reps and then some good partials, and it felt amazing. All in all, this workout was 3 pulling exercises, 2 pushing exercises, plus 1 warm-up set of each. Took like under 25 minutes. Very, very easy. Felt pumped out the wazoo afterwards. One of the things that I had forgotten about training with rings is that there's so much stabilization is that almost every single exercise leaves my forearms really pumped, even the pushing ones, which is pretty fantastic. So it's a feeling that at the end of this exercise, in addition to having my bigger muscles like my lats and my pecs and my triceps very sore, my forearms were also really gassed. So this was something that I hadn't quite expected because I haven't trained with rings in a very long time.
Yeah, so that's it for the first ring session back in a very, very long time. Yeah, it feels really good to get back to the ring exercises. It's so simple, you don't have to add any weight. Of course, the intensity's never perfect, especially not the first time. It takes some getting used to figure out what progression you need. But yeah, I just did a whole upper body session with 3 pulls, 2 pushes, and under 25 minutes. Yeah, so fantastic. Rings are definitely the most efficient piece of kit you can bring with you traveling. Set them up in a park, on a tree, yeah, sometimes under a pavilion, and you can do a killer upper body workout anywhere in the world. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back in 2 days to do another workout. See you then.